Hey everybody, Miss Dietrich here. We're taking a look at number 7, and the problem with it on the L21 homework is the fact that the images are kind of small, and you do have the option of hitting Control plus on your keyboard to make it a little bit bigger, but I thought it would be better if I just made a video where we enlarge it and discuss what the points really are, because even if you do that, you can see it's still blurry. All right, so what we have to do here is they're asking us which graph best represents the equation, and they give us this equation. Anytime you see something like this, you should get in the routine of setting up one of these double T tables that we've been talking about in class. We always put the x over here and the y over here, and let's put the function, which is x minus 6, right in the middle. All right, and let's look at choice A. And what we'll do is we'll take the points here that I'm going to highlight here in red, and let's see if they fit this function. If we take a look at that first ordered pair, this dot right here, the x is a 4 and the y is a 4. So if we put in a 4 for x and we actually substitute that value in for x in the function, you can see that if we do 4 minus 6, we're not going to get 4 for our y. We'll end up getting a -2. So just based on that dot alone, we don't even really have to check the other dots because we can already tell based on the first one that that one's not going to work. All right, so A is off the table as being a contender. So let's look at choice B. Let's look at that one. This is choice B, or option 2. And let's look at the points that are on that. All right, so again, it's a little blurry, I apologize. But if we take a look at this first dot right here, this one, I'll highlight in green this time, that's 2, 4, 6 and up nothing. So it's a 6 and then a 0. Now, does that fit this function? If we substitute the number 6 in the place of x and subtract 6, that does equal 0. But what about the next dot? What about like this one right here? That is an 8 for the x, and for the y, it's a 4. So it's an 8 and a 4. Does that work? So if we substitute the 8 in for the x and subtract 6, that does not equal 4. So that makes that choice not a contender. But we can always go back and look at the other dots if we find that there's problems with option 3 and option 4. All right, so let's erase everything from option 2 or B. And now let's take a look at C, which is down here. All right, let's take a look at this one. Let me move it up so it's next to our data table. All right, there it is. All right, and let's erase the dots that we had from before. Okay, so option 3, or what they're calling C, let's take a look at the dots that are on there. All right, so we do have this point down here, which is, if this is 2, 4, 6, and that's up nothing, so that is a 6 and a 0. And again, if we substitute this in for the place of x and subtract this value from it, so far that's looking promising, but we need to check the next point on the line. The next point on the line, if we figure out what's the ordered pair for that, if this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 for the x and 4 for the y, let's put that in, 10 for the x and 4 for the y, and let's see if we substitute that in, does it work? If we substitute this in for x and subtract 6 from it, does that equal 4? It's looking promising. So you always want to check, if you think you found it, you always want to look at all the dots to make sure that they all work. So here's a point that falls nicely on the line here. So that's x is the 14. And let's see where that corresponds on the y. So it's a 14 and then up 8. All right, so again, you want to substitute in the 14 and see if that, is this true? Is 14 minus 6, is that true? Is that equal 8? And then finally check this dot right here. So that would be over, let's see if that's 12, 14, 16, 18, over 18 and up 12. Just make sure that that one works. Now let's say you find that this one doesn't work for some reason. Then you would want to look at choice D, or option 4, I guess it's called. So where do I have that? Lost it. Actually, I think it's underneath this. So let's move this out of the way and look at that last option, which I think there's option 1, there's option 2. I can't find option 4 is buried, so I'll have to move them out of the way here so we find it. There it is, option 4. So sorry about that. All right, so let's move this up so it's next to our table so we can see it. And we'll erase these dots from before. All right, so now everything's in place. Okay, so this is option 4 or D, and let's see if there's anything about this one that works. All right, so I'm going to erase all this, and let's see if we can eliminate this as being a choice. All right, so the first point they give you here, that's a 2 and a nothing, right? Over 2, up nothing. And if we substitute these values in, we substitute the 2 in for x, and we attempt to subtract 6 from it, we're not going to get this, are we? And we might double check with this dot right here. If we go over, that's 2, 4, 6, 8. This is an 8, comma 10. 8, comma 10. So just make sure that that also does not work. So again, if you want to review the video and rewind it to see which one you think fits, but I think you should, by now, you should probably be able to tell which one it is. All right, hopefully you found this video helpful.